Hi, it's Dennis. Let's get away from what I was talking about before. It's the point of these videos are really to talk about developing the individual that you have, or that you can be, um, and thinking in a more deep way about everything. Now, I fully understand what we're up against here. I mean, there's just a barrage of material things coming at you. There's especially in the internet world that we all live. There's just the constant scrolling, the next video that comes out, the next post that comes out, the next whatever, the next, the new, and we're just totally addicted to this. And we also are developing a attention span that's like a goldfish, right? I mean, we can barely hold our thoughts for more than 3 seconds, and that is probably the biggest obstacle people have when trying to think more deeply. It's not that they can't; they certainly can. They just get bored after 15 seconds of thinking about something. Okay, that I've had it. Let's go to the next. Right? That's kind of the big enemy in trying to think more deeply. But I will say that there are a lot of people, or some people, who are hearing what I'm saying. They're getting barraged by these things all day, and they're participating in their mind, and they're just getting more and more of this stuff, but they come away more empty. That there's sort of a hunger in your soul, in your insides, where you want more of something, and you don't know what it is. And from somebody who's tried to fill that hole with some really bad stuff, it's kind of dangerous. But there's more constructive ways, and it can be just by thinking more deeply, and filling a sense of who you are in a different way. I believe deeply in the three components of a human being: the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. And for all intents and purposes, we can say this is the beginning of the spiritual, because you're starting to develop a non-material way of thinking. Somebody once said that once you remove the spiritual, all you're left with is the material. And that's largely true. Spiritual doesn't necessarily mean faith in God and all of that. It just means thinking more in a deep way beyond the material. The other thing that I want you to consider, and I always go back to Emerson. He's like my favorite philosopher, I guess. He said imitation is suicide, and we imitate all the time. We become people that we don't even recognize. They're not us. They're just an amalgam of things that we sort of take in, that we want to be perceived as. And we're often trying to be like, the very word influencer, is trying to influence you. Is, I don't know, that I don't really like that term very much. I think that it's not a bad thing to take the best or some things from others and make it part of you, or sort of turn it into part of you and let it sort of synthesize. That's perfectly okay, because you're gonna get your stuff from somewhere. But the process of doing that isn't just by taking in stuff and saying, okay, I like that, I'm going to believe it, and there it is. I want you to consider what dogma is, and dogma is not very helpful. There are times that it's kind of necessary, but for the most part, dogma is just believing something because somebody told you to believe it, right? You don't really have a great reason to believe it, but you just believe it because you're told to. Dogma is not real helpful. Critical thinking is, and the next video is going to be on critical thinking. Now, if you're with me so far, thank you. I understand that what we're talking about is boring for the vast majority of the people, right? Really boring, and I haven't even gotten into the nitty gritty of it yet. But I will say that if you're still with me, good for you, and maybe you can get something from this. So the process that I am looking at is to become an individual, a self-reliant individual. That means you'll screw up, and that's fine. But it's the screw up. You take something, you own it, and you are who you are, and you might mess up along the way, and still it's you. It's not you trying to be somebody else or trying to be somebody that somebody wants you to be or any of that. You just want to say to hell with all that. I am who I am, and I'm going to continue trying to be the best as I can. And then, like I said, you want to end up being a self-reliant individual. I'm gonna end with this because the next video will be on critical thinking, and we'll go deeper into that. But I want you to understand that this path will lead you to be a man or woman of significance and substance. You will be of greater substance. You'll be remarkably more of a significant human being. I'm going to tell you real quick. So, a quick story. I periodically have to do these things for work, and I have to go in and socialize with people, and sometimes little parties and stuff, and I hate it. I really hate it. And I'll tell you why I hate it. Because I don't like superficial, I don't like fake, and I have to do both of those things just to be socially somewhat, to fit in socially. And the other thing that I really hate also is small talk. I don't understand the point of it. To me, it's just a whole lot of wasted time. I don't like small talk, and I don't care for the whole process. But I have to do it, right? It's part of the game of life. Sometimes you got to play the game. So I say these things because when you become more deep in your thinking, you will have fewer people around you, but you'll have far better conversations. You'll start thinking things better and deeper, but you might be a little more isolated along the way because, like I said, the vast majority of the people could not sit through this very video because it's not fast enough. There's no special effects, and there's certainly, it's just, if you got through this, good for you. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.